Good evening. Just before I start today, there's just a quick disclaimer. So information that I've got in tonight's presentation is some financial information. I just need you all to be aware that it's general in nature and it's not to be considered financial advice. And also if there's any reference to returns as well, please keep in mind, returns in the past, there's no guarantee that corresponds to future performance. So with that somewhat stilted beginning, I'm going to jump straight to it, which is, my name's Michael, I'm from Future Super. We're Australia's first fossil fuel-free super fund. Why do we do what we do? This is a very troubling graph. So as we can see here, the climate's changing, it's a huge challenge, and we need to act very urgently about this. Bringing this line at the end down, which is the amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, requires the mobilisation of resources to rapidly transition our economy to one powered from fossil fuels to one powered by clean energy. Many governments and countries around the world are already doing this and making this transition. Now, meanwhile, lucky us in Australia, interests of big polluters are consistently put before human well-being and our shared interest in a healthy planet with a livable climate, clean air, water, land. But against this political apathy has risen a global people-powered movement focused on divesting from fossil fuels. Now, divestment is simply the opposite of investing. It's moving money out of an industry or an asset. It's a powerful tactic that helped undermine apartheid in South Africa and is being used today to break the social license of the fossil fuel industry. Around the world, institutions and individuals are divesting in droves for ethical and financial reasons. And just quickly, we've got this idea of a carbon budget. So there's a generally accepted 2-degree limit that we're trying to halt global warming at. To meet that, or to have a 50-50 chance or a coin toss of staying below 2 degrees, most of the world's fossil fuels have to stay in the ground. We simply cannot keep extracting and burning fossil fuels and have a livable planet. So this scientific, environmental and moral reality has economists and investors concerned, such as the former Liberal Party leader and economics professor John Hewson, worried about an emerging financial reality of a stranded asset, which is where an investment quickly loses value. And on the bottom right here we can see, and sorry it's a bit small for people there, but this is the Dow Jones US Coal Index going this way, while in divestment pledges are ballooning as well. So if you want some more information on these graphs, please come and have a chat to me later. So why superannuation? Why is it the centre of divestment? So on average, according to the Asset Owners Disclosure Project, about 55% of pension fund assets around the world is exposed to high carbon assets and only 2% to low carbon or renewable energy. So this is an enormous disparity. Now, in terms of superannuation, it's Australia's second largest asset, second only to the home. Every working Australian has superannuation, and collectively the super industry is investing $2 trillion on our behalf. So just to put that in context, that's more than our annual GDP, and if it was used as a measure of GDP, it would make us the 10th largest economy in the world. So what we're asking people to do is to imagine the power of a mere fraction of this money being moved out of fossil fuels and carbon pollution and into climate solutions. And so that's what's inspired over 5,000 Australians today, ordinary people, to make the switch and to ensure that their retirement savings are being invested in line with their values. So they're people that I'm proud to stand here and represent today. Now, our ambitious idea was to be Australia's first fossil fuel-free super fund. We're also the world's first carbon-neutral pension fund. Thank you. And we don't think that we are going to be the only organisation to shift the dial here. But what we are demonstrating to the rest of the superannuation industry is that people do not want to be investing in the companies that are leading towards runaway climate change. And if we are able to shift that dial, and we're already seeing other funds feel the pinch and start to move as they lose members. We're able to move funds into the clean energy economy. So just quickly, since we launched on the 1st of September 2014, we've moved over $180 million out of fossil fuel exposed funds. We're one of the fastest growing in the country. And again, remembering the past performance disclaimer earlier, the average return for the last financial year for a balanced growth fund without type was 3%. Future Super's return was 7.48. This is our ethical screen. And with that, thank you for your time this evening.